everyone, my name's Melanie. I'm a marathon runner and my background is very unusual and very, very different to Alana's in athletics. I actually didn't do athletics at all growing up. My main sport as a kid was netball, and I was quite good at netball, always in rep teams, until I hit about 15 years old when I stopped growing and everybody else kept growing, and I was just, didn't have the height anymore. I kept playing netball till I was about 18, 19 and had some shoulder injuries and had to get a reconstruction done. And after that, I thought, what am I going to do now when I was at uni? And I just really simply started going for jogs before uni. And that was training at vet school to be a veterinary surgeon, which you can imagine is a lot of contact hours. So that was my focus. Running was just something that was a bit of fun and to keep me fit. And never really thought that it would end up where it is now. So it was only really 4.5 years ago I moved up to the Sunshine Coast from Melbourne, and that was for my job at Australia Zoo. And just the lifestyle up here with the amount of athletes around, everyone's out training every morning, it's really inspiring. I started running more and more, started entering a lot of events, mainly half marathons, and 2013 was the year that I started seeing improvements in myself, and that was, I won quite a few half marathons that year and thought that it's time to step up to the full marathon and see how that goes. So I did Melbourne Marathon, which was almost 2 years ago, and my goal was to run around 2:45, but I really had no idea. I just wanted to get through it really. And anyway, I ran 2:41 and surprised myself, came third overall behind Lisa Waitman, who's probably our best female marathon runner at the moment. So that was a huge shock, and also at the finish line I was told that I'd actually run a Commonwealth Games qualifying time, and I didn't even know what that meant. I had no idea what was going on, and I was asked so many questions about who's your coach and who do you train with and whatever, how long have you been around, and it was just, don't have a coach, don't train with anyone, I just get up before work really early and go for a run. So anyway, you can imagine after that it was a bit of a whirlwind for me. I got put in contact with Dick Telford, who's arguably the best distance running coach in Australia and has been for a long time. He's coached many of the greats, including Robert De Castella, Michael Shelley, who won gold at Commonwealth Games last year in the marathon, and Lisa Waitman. So he was a little bit shocked at what my background was, given the low amount of mileage every week and no structure. It was just running, it was no sprint work or hill work or anything really. So he gave me some structure and taught me how to change my pace a little bit, because he would tell me, go for a session and do a 10k pace for this long, but my 10k pace was exactly the same as my half marathon pace and exactly the same as my marathon pace. So it took me a long time to learn how to change my pace in training, and I'm still learning. I'm still not very good at it, because my most recent marathon in April ended up being a 10k PB and a half marathon PB and a marathon PB all in that one race. So I'm still definitely learning all of that. Anyway, Dick Telford got me fit enough to run a marathon in March last year, and that secured my spot on the Commonwealth Games team. And then at the Commonwealth Games I ran a PB of 2:35, came 8th overall, which I was really, really pleased about. Really was just stoked to be on the start line, and then whatever happened after that was a bonus. So after that, you can imagine how inspired I was to do it all again and try and make another Australian team. And so I had the recovery for a few weeks and started the build up again, and ran Rotterdam Marathon in April this year, which was another PB, and is technically an Olympic qualify for next year, but still have to be in the top 3 girls, so nothing's set in stone yet. But unfortunately I had an accident. I fell down some stairs and had a bad back injury, so I've been out of action for a few months. I'm just starting to jog around again now, and my goal is obviously take it easy and be patient, but get fit, try and run some half marathons, and then aim for a new personal best marathon around March time, I'm thinking. And yeah, the big goal is to make it to the Rio team. Yeah, so that's the short-term goal for me, and I think marathon's really great in that you can keep improving, especially as a female well into your 30s. I just turned 31, and I've still got a lot of improvements to make, and I can keep improving all the way. If I stay fit and healthy without too many injuries, I can keep improving all the way until I'm 40 if I'm lucky. So in an ideal world, I'll be able to go to the next Commonwealth Games at the Gold Coast, which is kind of home. I'm not too far away from there. And then even the Olympics after that would be a huge dream come true in Tokyo. So yeah, hopefully I'm in the sport for a bit longer, especially given I've been such a late starter. And yeah, is there any questions about anything?
How did you fall down the stairs?
Just slipped. Just slippery stairs in socks. Yeah, it was actually before the marathon, a few days before. But I didn't let my brain acknowledge what injury I'd done to myself, and yeah, it's amazing what your mind can block out if you make it. Yeah.
Still ran a PB.
Yeah, I still can't believe it, but yeah, it's been a long recovery, but I've learnt a lot of lessons about listening to pain and being smart about, yeah.
What is a typical week like as far as training? I know it'll change from leading up to an event, but
a typical week if I'm in the build up to a marathon, so yeah, in a good 3 or 4 month build up, there'll be 3 hard sessions. So usually Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday will be my hard sessions, and it will change throughout the training, but it might be something like tempo efforts in the middle of a really big run. So I might have to run, say, 25k in total, but the middle 8k of it will be like a best 8k effort in training. Or it might be something like 8 times 1k efforts with just a minute recovery in between. And then Sunday's long run day, and that will usually be 35 to 40k. I'll definitely do at least 5 40k runs, but you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that when you're young or when you're inexperienced. You need a lot of k's in your legs to be able to do that, and then recover the next day to run again. And you wouldn't do it at your marathon pace. So my marathon pace is 3:36 minutes per k, and my long run I'll probably do it 4 to 4:10 pace, which is still a decent pace. Yeah, and that's the run where I like to practice nutrition and hydration, and getting up at the right time and eating my breakfast, and just sort of simulating race day a bit. It's nice to know if you have a set routine that's going to work, and you get to race day and you don't change a thing. And then the other days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or what we call recovery days, and usually it'll be 2 easy jogs. So it might be 2 10k jogs, plus a little bit of I would call it gym work, but it's not gym work compared to someone like Alana. It's more like really light glute strength, core work, more about just keeping your body balanced and symmetrical, and doing your flexibility as well. If I feel like I need a day off, I'll definitely take a running free day, and I might go for a bike ride or just do something different. And sometimes if you feel like especially when you're doing 180 k's a week, definitely need to schedule those days in, and either I'll tell my coach that I think I'm due for one, or he'll tell me that you need a day off. And I'm lucky that I've got a little bit of experience on a road bike, so that's something nice that I can enjoy and just go out for an hour or two on the bike. And my partner's actually a cyclist, so it's sometimes a nice way to just spend some time together on the bike. Yeah, that's a normal week. After a race, definitely take an easy week, because when you're going at your best pace for 20 or 40k or whatever you've done, you cause a lot of small muscle contusions in your body. So that's minor bruising and tears, and you might feel a little bit sore, but you do need to take it seriously. Take a day off, recover properly, jog around just for a few days, and then start the sessions again. Yeah.
Most of what you're doing, is it track work or is it
No,
road work?
I have never done a proper track session before. I don't use a track just because of my background has not been through the normal athletics route, so I've not really learnt how to use a track. And so I do most of my running on the road. At the moment I'm actually running on the beach, which is nice. Just the dampened effect on the sand has been good for my return to running. But yeah, mostly road, trails. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Well, I actually have celiac disease, which means I can't have any gluten at all, and I'm actually also intolerant to dairy and a little bit fructose. So I have to be very careful with what I eat, and I do like to mostly stick to whole foods. The more I stay away from processed foods and even eating out at restaurants, the better I feel, because I know exactly what's going into it. I like to have either a gluten-free pasta, just something really simple, or I even make my own gluten-free pizza bases sometimes and just put, a small amount of veggies, and a little bit of protein is good as well, like a chicken or something the night before. And the morning of a race, I like to eat gluten-free bread that I make myself, and just have some toast, probably with a bit of jam or something for that low GI sugar. And I definitely have a coffee. And then during a race, I use shots gels, which are all gluten and fructose free, and they've worked really well for me. So I'll try and take 3 gels throughout a race, and lots of electrolytes. Try and drink every 5k if you can. Yeah. Yes.
When you take your shoes off after a marathon, how do your feet and your toes, particularly your toenails, how do they feel?
Well, usually you don't know that anything's wrong. They feel fine, but you take your shoes off and they look horrific. So that's what I've found. You might have, 4 black nails.
So one of my friends did the Gold Coast Marathon and lost like 2 toenails.
Yeah, it sort of is normal. You can do something about it and learn how to lace up your shoes in different ways, and it might stop you sliding if that's what's going on. But I find just with the number of Ks that I'm doing in the lead up, I'll go into a race with black nails. And yeah, I just don't really worry about it too much. But yeah, you can often do something about it. You don't have to have horrible feet, but sometimes it's part of it.
Oh, that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, yeah. You learn to just wear closed shoes all the time.
Just in terms of injuries, obviously you've hurt your back.
Yeah.
You're pounding the pavement a lot. You haven't had any sort of knees or ankle issues or anything? How do you
No.
sort of deal with that, apart from wearing really good shoes?
Yeah, I probably do more road running than most other people, and that's also because of the way that I was self-trained for so long, and that's just what I did without really thinking about it or knowing any better. So my coach has been very reluctant to change things too much too quickly. I've only been with him for less than 2 years, and we've often been trying to get myself ready for a race and not had a lot of time to start introducing new things. So after this setback that I've had, we feel like it's probably a good opportunity for me to learn how to run on different surfaces now. If I started trying to work on grass, it's just a whole new way of running. There's a lot of lateral instability. You might roll your ankles a lot if you're not used to it. You just need to learn how to use it rather than just going out and doing one of your big 25k runs straight up. So now's a good opportunity for me to do that, because in the long term it will be better for me to get off the road a bit more. So trails probably be a big part of my training more so than grass, just because we've got better trails on the Sunshine Coast and not fantastic grass quality. But yeah, so far I've tolerated the roads really well, and I make sure that I change my shoes a lot. So I'll usually have 3 or 4 pairs of shoes on the go at a time, and they'll be different. So one will be the super cushioned one will be a little bit lower profile, and then I'll do a little bit of work in a racing shoe just to make sure my body's used to it, because it is a different feeling. You don't want to end up tearing a hamstring or a calf. So changing the shoes a lot, changing the surfaces a lot is important, and I also keep a log on my shoes of how many Ks each one's done.
Okay.
So if I get to 600 or 700 Ks in a pair, even if they still look pretty nice, I'll give them to my sister or something and get some new ones.
Okay. Did you have any idea that you had a bit of a talent for endurance kind of stuff when you were younger, or did you just literally stumble onto running and?
I guess there was a little bit of an indication at primary school where I went. We would just we would all participate in the annual cross country event, and it was about 3k. And every year I would rock up and I would win by a lot, and go to the district and then go to the state. But then it would be over, and nobody ever said to me, "Why don't you join Little Aths?" It was just, "Okay, do it again next year." So I guess that was a little bit of an indication that I had some talent without training for the rest of the year. And even as a netballer, I was a centre position, and I would just be running, and that's why I was good at netball. Yeah, and I do remember as a kid on Saturday morning I'd be umpiring a couple of games, then I'd play my game, and then I'd play for the year levels above me. So I'd probably be running all day on a Saturday. Yeah, so yeah, that was the reason I was good at netball, not really because of the ball skills or anything, I would say. My grandfather was a professional soccer player, and my cousins are all quite good soccer players. One of them's just been selected for Melbourne Victory as a 14-year-old, so it's definitely some talent in endurance in the family, and he's also, I don't even know the positions in soccer, but he runs a lot. He's a really good runner. Yeah.